What is up guys, Andy, Forest Theme Runner here, and today I'm going to be giving you my first impressions on the Hoka One One RINCON. So welcome back to the channel everyone, and today I'm absolutely delighted to be bringing you another first impressions, another shoe review, this time for the Hoka One One RINCON. There are three brands in particular that have really stood out to me in 2019. That's Nike, New Balance and Hoka, and that's just the way that they've been pumping out some incredible shoes. Their marketing has been on point, really sucking us runners in and producing some incredible shoes. And Hoka is the final piece of the puzzle for me. The RINCON is an absolute gem from the first impression. So as always, in this first impressions video, I'm going to be going through in a very non-technical way the construction, the build of the shoe, and then of course give you my thoughts on my first impressions and what I'm looking forward to and what I will be testing out in this shoe further. So of course, if you're excited for today's video guys, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe of course to the channel if you're new here for weekly running content, shoe reviews and all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. And without further ado, let's dive in. So just before we get into the build of the shoe, what drew me to the RINCON? What was it about this shoe that made me want to part with my money? Well, Hoka, in my opinion, over the last 12 to 24 months have really come on leaps and bounds in terms of the diversity and the style of shoes that they're producing. For me, who's someone that runs on roads and on trails but likes a lot of speed and does a lot of speed work, I've always looked at their brand and thought to myself, they're very much a trail shoe orientated brand and probably not something that I would go for. But scrap that over the last, as I said, 12 to 24 months. The Carbon Rocket, the Carbon X show that they're a force to be reckoned with and show that they're really trying to diversify in the market. And this shoe is no different. This shoe has been released as a very fast, lightweight, speedy shoe, which I thought to myself, that is going to be absolutely perfect for what I want. And the one thing that I wanted to check before I purchased this shoe, because I felt it could give me everything I wanted and more, was the outsole on the shoe, which we will come to. And that was a deal breaker for me because, of course, as I say to you in lots of my shoe reviews, I get to run on the trails and on the roads, and I need a shoe that's going to cover all bases, and this thing ticks those boxes. So that's what drew me to the shoe. Not only that, but in a day and age where running shoe prices are hiking up and up and up, at just over £100, I felt this was a great shoe to try out, to see. It's a bit cheaper than some of their other models, and in my opinion, I'm going to get the best bang for my buck over this shoe. So let's start with the construction of the shoe. As always, we'll start at the heel, work our way down and finish on the outsole. So if we look here, the first thing I noticed when I put the shoe on is we have a nice cushioned and padded area around the heel. Now what I like about this is that this shoe is very light, 217 grams I think, which translates to about 7.6 ounces, I think in a size 9 or a 10. Now mine's a size 13, it's a big boy, so it's going to be near 8 ounces, I would assume. I haven't weighed it. And one of the places that shoes, when they try and get very lightweight, try to shed weight, is around this area. This becomes very thin. It's something I've noticed in Nike shoes a lot, especially in the Zoom Fly 3s that I've tried out. And this is nice because this doesn't compromise on comfort, and I think that's what Hoka's known for, is comfort. Comfort on the trails, delivering you a comfortable ride from start to finish. So for me to have this nice and padded all the way around here was lovely. Putting my foot in straight away, I felt the comfort. What I would then say is moving on to the tongue. Again, I'm comparing to other shoes that I've run in recently. The Nike shoes that we have and then the New Balance Propels that we have, this kind of sits in the middle of the tongues. What I would say is it's not a very flat, thin layer of fabric. or layer of material. It's kind of halfway between an Asics very padded thick tongue and a Nike very thin material tongue. It's kind of in the middle, which in my opinion again is absolutely perfect. It doesn't need to be too padded, also it doesn't want to be too thin. So straight away we've got comfort in that area and absolutely zero issues with locking the shoe down. Moving on down, we have a very simple lacing system. Eyelets down here, nothing fancy, just straight in, laces through the holes, job done. None of this fly wire stuff that you get from Nike or other brands that try and do fancy things here. Not one thing. I put my foot in this, tied it down, got it locked down straight away without one issue whatsoever. So that's fantastic. From there to here, we're on to a winner. We move on to the material all the way around here. This is just a one layer mesh upper, very breathable. I found it very lightweight, not waterproof in the slightest. My foot did get wet. That's fine though. I didn't want it to be waterproof. I don't expect it to be waterproof with a single layer mesh upper. I don't expect that whatsoever. So lots of holes in there, and this is going to be somewhere where they've shedded weight because it is very lightweight, it's very flexible, and you can see lots of tiny pinprick holes in it all the way around, which is absolutely fine. Moving on to the outsole, and this was the deal breaker for me, as I said. When I run on trails and roads, I need something that's going to grip on both. In some of the Nike shoes that I have had when I run on the trails, the outsole is very, very flat with very minimal grooving, and that can be tricky if the trails are wet. This thing has beautiful, literally the perfect cut grooves in between the outsoles on the pattern here to give you enough grip on the trails to feel solid, which is exactly where I've been on my first run in this thing, but also enough grip on the roads to feel really, really good. All of this blue is exposed EVA foam, and then we've got the yellow here, which is some outsole rubber to give you a little bit extra grip, and in my opinion is in the perfect place. So that is the general construction of the shoe. I was very, very happy with it. I literally, as I said, put my foot straight in it, got it locked down, went out the door without any fuss, without any hassle, came back, the laces had not come undone, the laces had not loosened, I had no discomfort whatsoever. So from first impressions there, on the build and the quality, absolutely smashing. So what are my first impressions in terms of running in the Hoka One One Rincon? Well, absolutely fan-flipping-tastic. This thing was a beaut of a shoe to put my feet in. As I just said to you, I put it in, I tightened the laces up, 7 miles done and dusted, came home, and there was just, it was incredible. It felt like I was running on clouds. A few points to note, that run was 7 miles long. I made sure I ran on the roads, on the trails. Not only that, but we ran easy and we did a mini speed workout. I think this is the best all-round run I've ever done in a shoe for a good first impressions. It is of course taper week for my Severn Bridge half marathon, and for me I was able to put 4 by 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off in this shoe. So basically 12 minutes worth of work, 2 miles effectively at 5:30 to 5:40 pace, and it was a gem. It was like running on clouds. You can really feel the lightness in the shoe, how light it was. At times I barely even noticed I had shoes on, and the foam, the comfort that this EVA foam gives is absolutely stunning. I will plant it somewhere in the middle of the Nike sort of Zoom Fly 3 Nike Pegasus Trail 36, that Zoom X foam that you find in them, and somewhere in between a more harder and responsive foam. It sits in the middle there, which for me is probably the ideal winning combination. So that's it from my first impressions of this thing. I cannot wait to put more miles in this shoe, and for your information I'm going to be doing further tests if you're excited, which are going to be the long run test. We're going to take this thing on at least 15 miles and see how it gets on. We're going to be doing a decent speed workout, fingers crossed, next week in this shoe. And of course then, once we've got more miles in it, I will give you my final thoughts. So I appreciate you tuning in today, guys, for this video. If you did enjoy it, as I said, please make sure you hit that like button, share it with your friends, and make sure you do subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and make sure you hit that notification bell to make sure you stay up to date with all running videos coming out on this channel. And I will, of course, see you next time. Until then.